Number 19 is a application question, i.e. word problem. But it's okay. Let's read. The first thing is read the question and understand it. A rectangular yard has the area of 96 square feet. If the width of the yard is 4 feet less than the length, what is the perimeter in feet of the yard? So again, let me show you guys an example first. Okay, so I've covered that. Let me just do an example. Do an example based on the situation, and then let's see what we get. I have a rectangular yard, so let me draw the rectangle. And usually we can just draw like this, and then the longer side we can just call it length, and then the shorter side we can call that width. But it doesn't matter because I can just turn this upside down, right? So it's not really the horizontal, it's the length. It's not really the vertical, it's the width. Because if I switch, that's the horizontal, that's the vertical. So it doesn't matter. But however, I'm just going to call this the length, and that's the width. Right. Okay, and it says that if the width of the yard is 4 feet less than the length. So I'm just going to do an example right here. Let's say, I'm just saying, let's say the length is, let's say 20. Alright, let's say the length is 20. Again, just an example. Just an example. I don't know the answer yet. I'm just assuming that the length is equal to 20. And I'm going to base the question out of the 20 right here. It says that if we know the length is equal to 20, then the width is 4 feet shorter, right? 4 feet less than the length. 4 feet less than the length. So this is 20 already. This has to be shorter, right? How much shorter? 4 feet shorter. So the width will be 4 feet shorter. So I have to take 20 and then minus 4. And 20 minus 4 is equal to 16. So if the length is 20, then the width has to be 16, based on the situation. Okay, so 20 and 16, if we know the length and the width, and let's review how to find the area. Area is equal to length times width. So if 20 is the length, I have 20, I need to multiply by the width, which is 16. Well, 20 times 16 is 320. Okay, so this will be the area if this is the rectangle that we are talking about. And as you can see that this is not the right answer because in the problem we want the area to be 96. Okay, but we got 320. But I'm just doing an example. So I'm just reviewing all the formulas. Another formulas we are going to talk about is the perimeter. Perimeter means that just imagine if you are right here at one of the corner, and if you want to run around this yard once, see if you are going from this corner to this corner and then do one lap like this and come back, how many feet would you be able to cover? Right, the length of all this together. So the perimeter will be, in this case, will be, well, if you go from here to here, you run 20 feet. And if you go from here to here, you run 16 feet, so plus 16. And if you run from here to here, you got another 20 feet. And if you run from here to here, you went back, right? So you have another 16 feet. So this is the same as saying, I have 2 times the 20. Let me write this as the 20 because you have 20 twice. And then 16 and 16, again I have 2 of the 20, 2 of the 16 twice. 2 of the 16, right, 2 of the 16. So if you do the calculation, I think that's 40 plus 32, so you get 72. That's the idea. That's all I want to review. Okay, that's all I want to review for rectangles and its area and its perimeter. Now let's get down to the real business. So question 19. I have a rectangle, so I will draw a rectangle first. A picture is always helpful. So earlier, the way I come up with this example is because I start off with a specific length and then I can work this out, right? But in this case, after we read the question, we have two things that we don't know. Two most important things that we don't know. We don't know the length and we don't know the width. The only information that we have is if the width of the yard is 4 feet less than the length. So we don't know the specific measurement for the length and the width. Anyways, if we don't know something, that's usually what we are going to make up something. That's the idea of using a variable at the moment and then work out the question. So I will say start off by let L, right? Let L equal to the length of the yard. So as I said, you can just draw the long one and call that L. And well, if I said L is the length, then you can of course use W for the length, for the width, right? But you don't want to use two variables. You want to minimize the variables to just one. Okay. So how can we do that? If L is the width, just like how we have it here earlier, if L is equal to 20, we can actually figure out what the width is, right? What we did was just subtract 4 from whatever the length is, right? So the width right here, it's exactly L, right? You just need to take L and then minus 4, because width is 4 feet less than L. It's exactly what we did right there. But we just cannot subtract because L is a variable at the moment. We don't know what it is. Okay, so based on L, and I'm going to look at L minus 4. I don't want to look at the W. Okay, I just want to use one variable. Based on this, and it also another information that I forgot to point out. A rectangular yard has the area 96 square feet. So we are going to use the area formula right here. Area is equal to length times width, but length is the one I just said is L. However, width is this, L minus 4. But I need to put parentheses, L minus 4. Because width is a result of L minus 4 first. So you need to put parentheses around L minus 4. And the area is mentioned, it was 96. So 96 is equal to L times L minus 4. Alright, let's solve this equation. One equation, one unknown. So we have a parentheses and something in front of the parentheses. Take this, multiply it inside. L times L gives us L squared. And L times negative 4. That's minus 4L. I still have the 96. So this is an example of a quadratic equation. We have L squared minus 4L. Okay? So the idea here is that we want to make one side equal to 0. So I'll write this down for you guys. So to solve quadratic equation, so want to make one side is equal to 0. One side equal to 0. And then try to factor the other side. So it would be easier if we move the 96 to the left hand side, to the right hand side, sorry, to the right hand side. So let's do that first. Let me minus 96 on both sides. And there we go, we have 96 minus 96, we have 0. And that's equal to L squared minus 4L minus 96. So this is what I mean by want to make one side equal to 0. And we did. Okay, and then the second step is we're trying to factor out this side. So again, let's get ready by putting two parentheses. And then I still have the 0 right here. Let me write that down as well. So what times 12 will be L squared? Again, L times L will be L squared. And then look at negative 96. What times 12 will be negative 96? And then these two numbers, they should add up to negative 4. And the right combination is negative 12 and positive 8. So we can check. Negative 12 times 8 is equal to negative 96. Negative 12 plus 8 is negative 4. Okay, so try to factor the other side, which is this side. And we succeed. If this one is not factorable, then we'll have to use the quadratic formula, but that's later on. So the third step is to set each factor to 0. To set each factor equal to 0. So this is what I mean. I have L minus 12 is one of my factor. So I'm going to write this as L minus 12. I want to set this equal to 0. Or another case is L plus 8. Again, I want to set that equal to 0. Not 8. Yeah. L plus 8 is equal to 0. Okay, and now if you just cover everything else, L minus 12 is equal to 0, I can solve that easily, right? I can just add 12 on both sides. So I have L is equal to 12. And then for this equation right here, you can just minus 8 on both sides. Oh, by the way, cancel this. And then have L is equal to negative 8. However, as we can see, we have two answers. So what we are saying right here is the length is equal to 12 feet. Right, let's look at the unit, 12 feet. And right here we are saying the length is equal to negative 8 feet. However, when we're talking about measurements for length, right, how long things are, right, when we're talking about measurements, we cannot have a negative measurement. We cannot have a negative 8 feet for length, for distance. So this is not the case. We're going to get rid of that. L is equal to 12. That's the only consideration. This is the only case. So the correct picture is have a rectangle and the length is equal to 12. This side right here is going to be 4 feet less than 12. So I need to do 12 minus 4. That will give me 8. Okay, and then if we look back to the question one more time, the question is asking what is the perimeter. Okay, what is the perimeter? That's why I talked about the perimeter earlier during the example. So, to find the perimeter, let me write P perimeter. So again, let's say you start from here. It doesn't really matter where you start, but I want to say you start right here. So you go from here to here, I have 12. And if you go from here to here, you have 12. And if you go from here to here, you have 8, so plus 8. And if you go from here to here, and actually it's another 12, right? So plus 12. And if you go back from here to here, you have 8 plus 8. So there's also a formula for this if you would like to know. So make a note. You can also write this as P is equal to 2L because you have L twice. And you have two lengths. I mean two widths. 2L and two widths, 2W. You can also use that. Okay, you can also use that. But this is the idea. You run around it once. So either way, 12 plus 8 is 20 plus 12 plus 8. Altogether you get 40. So 40 feet for the perimeter. And let's take a look. That's 40 feet. So choice 8. That's it.